Now I'm demonstrating drawing trees on high mountains far, far away. As you can see, the rocks and the mountains are drawn first, and then the trees. When I'm drawing the trees, I will draw its trunk first, and then adding drops of light ink as imitated by an HB pencil to show its light shade. Try to draw in such a way that each brushstroke are hidden and blended together. Because as we could notice in our daily life, when we are seeing trees far away on the top of the mountain, we don't see each branch. It's just green. Sometimes they're darker, sometimes they're lighter colors. That's all we can see, and you'll see me doing that later. So first you see it is the HB pencil. Use very gentle stroke. Very gentle. Touch on. And then I'm changing to a 2B pencil to emphasize and to create the layers. First, I'm going to emphasize those branches so that they could stand out. Make sure that each tree branch has some posture in shapes as they are growing, so they are not particularly the same. You may add some details to it. Maybe just one main branch. That's enough. Not too much, because those trees are far, far away. And then, still very light, creating different layers of the leaves. Different darkness of gray. Sometimes the leaves would cover the tree branches. Making the texture richer. Still, try to make these brush strokes vague. Just very soft touch and make them look natural. As if you are drawing or you are writing their naturalness out of your brush or your pencil. Then I'm changing to this 4B pencil, which is really dark, to just give you some touches on the tree leaves. Not too much, don't make it dirty, just a little bit. saying with this? There's a saying in Chinese painting and drawing that you're using ink or color as if they're as precious as gold, meaning that do not waste each single brushstroke. So that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, it's my finger touching it. Anyway, then I'm going to give more texture to these mountains, and also adding more trees to here. So let me begin with the mountain first. Always the mountain first. The outline has already been drawn, so just some emphasis with the 2B pencil. The pencil shall not be too sharp, so that they could create this vagueness. We could also do that with our movement. So basically, we are using the pencil to touch the very surface of the mountain, rather than trying to create some sort of three-dimensionality from a single spot. We're just touching, sometimes going upward, sometimes down. Sometimes more shade. There will be some trees here, so I'm deliberately leaving this area. To emphasize the outline a little bit, each stroke should give its own texture of the body of the mountain. Just touch them. There are all kinds of ways of drawing these textures of the mountain in Chinese painting. Here, this is just a very simple one. As you can see, the Chinese painters or drawers, they are really not concerned about seeing the three-dimensionality first, because it's just there. They see the mountain from its body, and then produce those strokes in a way that they are as if they are relating to the body of the mountain. Again, don't waste the brushstrokes. They are as precious as gold. Then we will be adding trees to here. Let's change back to the HB pencils, the light colored one, to begin with. First, tree trunks. Let them change and variate. Do not repeat themselves. Also pay attention to the land where they are growing from. It's not flat, so the tree trunks needs to reflect that. So these are the trees. Each line, each stroke should have something in it, not just a simple line, but try to blend all the textures into each line when you are drawing. Then the leaves, still gentle color, just slightly darker than the mountain would be enough. It takes some patience, of course. Don't worry about the effect first, as we'll be reinforcing them later with other pencils. As you can see, we paint in layers, just like when people are drawing or painting in real ink and water. They use dark ink, light ink, dry ink, and wet ink to create different effects, and they do paint in layers and steps. So don't worry at this point. And also don't need to deliberately leave that area of the trees blank, because the trees are painted in such a way as decorations. Simply put them on the top of the mountain. And if the mountain appear behind the tree leaves, nobody would worry about it. Then I'm using a little bit of B pencil because 2B will be slightly darker for this purpose. But if you don't have a B pencil, then just use 2B lightly. It should also do the work. Still very gentle strokes. Maybe add something here and there. After all, we are trying to imitate the effect of brush and ink with pencil. So it's okay if it does not fully express the wetness of the brush and ink, because we are not using water for this case. Those strokes should be very wet and light ink. And sometimes you just want to add a little bit more, especially if the color faded. to this. It's not easy to find what the water would look like. You see, these lines are not good, not satisfied. They are not soft enough. And again, less is more. Having just 1 or 2 strokes would be enough. Again, excuse me. To be to just emphasize. And to soften the sharp lines. Gradually finding the rhyme with the water. Textures here is the mountain face. Then I'm adding more trees to this area. Very dark ink or stroke, very light because they are far, far away. Think about where each tree grows from when you're drawing the tree trunks. Sometimes just shades of greenery, as we can't really tell because they're so far away. barely identifiable as the mountain fades into the distance. Some changes and variations. Then adding the leaves. Again, very light, barely identifiable. Oops, that's too dark. You see, just give the feeling of it. Forget about the hard tip of the pencil. It could be as soft as a brush, depending on the strokes and the movement and the texture you give it. See changes and variations. Some trees are taller, some are not. Try to let the leaves correspond with each tree trunks you draw. Again, this is just a light colored pencil. Then we're going to add more texture with the slightly darker pencil. For this case, I'm again using the B pencil rather than the 2B, and use it in a very gentle way. So here's the B pencil. Careful not to be excessive. And also pay attention to where the trees connect to the mountain. Some darkness indicating other plants and greeneries. maybe bushes or grass. It should be lighter because it's on the mountain behind it. Also, let's add more texture to this mountain. Be very gentle, it's very far away. Adding strength to show the heaviness of the rock. Some emphasis. See, the tree trunks should be more significant. Showing that there's more on this mountain, but we could hardly see. Maybe just some plants. Again, touching the body of the mountain and adding some more greeneries here and there. So I think that's pretty much about this part of the mountain. Then I will return to the left and finish the remaining villages in the mountain, which is here. Let me clean this area first. I'm using this very smooth paper. The surface is a very smooth surface to cover, but still at times it gets blurred. Again, let's begin with these HB pencil. First, I will add a layer of mountain here to correspond with what's on the right. You see this part is significantly lower. You need something here. And also, this part I'll need some mountain. So this will be one layer of the mountain, and then more higher. And even higher. So that is the structure of the mountain here, and we'll have one even higher and further away here in very light ink. Then let's return to the village. Tiny houses here. Very simple. As simple as kids drawing, really. Just show that there's some small houses would be good enough. After all, back in the old days, those buildings in the mountain are really simple, as they do not live a comfort life as we have today. So you see, simple buildings. And one more, even further away. Another one hiding here. Land and tree. You see, at this layer, the trees are still pretty tall. So the tree here should be equally tall to show that they are at this similar distance, and here the trees are significantly lower because they are further away. More trees from here. So that's the draft. Then B pencil. Soil, the buildings. The purpose is not to draw over it, but just to emphasize. Slightly darker under the roof, just slightly. This should do the work. Don't get bored in these repetitions, but give a feeling of growth. I might have to move these mountains higher. Yes, the draft did not came out very well. And then the mountains again. So this time I'm going to make it higher. Maybe around here. because they're far away, going to give them a very light touch of grayness. In brush and the ink, this is done with wet and light ink. But we can imitate that with pencil. See, very light touch will do the work for you. Then the mountain further away. It's barely identifiable. There's really nothing much to add, except for emphasizing some of the lines which give the shape of the mountain. In all these areas have trees, so we'll add them. This is the B pencil, or maybe 2B pencil could also do this work. Then I'm using the 4B pencil, the darkest, to emphasize this because they're at the front. Then the final touch with the mountain far away. I choose not to do that with the HB pencil because it's too hard. This needs to be really soft and gentle. I don't like the shape of it. should not be too concrete. It's just touches of it. Really gentle. Barely identifiable. Give a clear line. So that's it. Let me clean this up. Let me take a look at the entire drawing. This is a copy of Yuan Dynasty Chinese artist Huang Gongwang. His painting of the Fuchun Mountains. So we'll begin from this part. That's it. Thank you for watching.